Today we're talking diet and fitness. So if you want to lose your midlife middle or that muffin top, this is the episode for you. I'm thrilled to have Laura Heikkila, founder of Ageless Women Society, holistic health practitioner, hormone specialist, and fitness and nutrition expert, join us today. Laura lives in South California, and her mission is to empower women in midlife to take back control of their bodies and lives. With her expertise in diet, lifestyle, fitness, and mindset, Laura has helped thousands of women overcome their menopause struggles and achieve optimal health and wellness. Get ready to discover the secrets to a healthier, happier you. Hello, Laura. Welcome to Unpause the Menopause podcast. We're absolutely delighted to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
And it's really kind because I know it's early where you are. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, you are so welcome. Like I mentioned before, I'm an early bird, so this is nothing for me.
Well, this is perfect because our first question normally is about morning routines of our guests, because I find that really interesting, gives us a little insight into their personality and habits. Do you want to chat us through your morning routine?
Sure. So very first thing I do when I get up in the morning is drink a huge, 30-ounce container of water. So we have to hydrate in the morning because we've gone the whole night without, drinking any water. So I start with that. And then I take some time. I do a lot of work in the morning. So I just find that's my quiet time. That's my time that I can really concentrate. I have clients all over the world. So when I get up in the morning, I can have a lot of messages to return and things like that because we're dealing with all the different time zones. So I take some time, for that. I take some time. Usually I try to do a little bit of reading. I always have kind of a self-help type book that I read. And so I'll take a little bit of time to do a little bit of reading. And then after being up for about an hour, I do my morning smoothie bowl. That's my favorite breakfast that I kind of have on repeat.
Perfect. So there's two things I want to ask you about from that routine is what is the book you're currently reading and what is in your smoothie bowl?
Okay, the book I'm currently reading, it is called The Everyday Superhero Manifesto or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a book about taking your passions and using them to to serve the world, to to become a superhero in your with what you're passionate about.
Perfect. I love that. And what about your smoothie bowl? What do you tend to have in your smoothie bowl?
Okay, my smoothie bowl has spinach, banana, berries, protein powder, collagen, flax, and a little bit of nut milk. And I blend it all up really, really thick. So it's almost like having ice cream. And then I top it with it's actually a protein granola. It's something that I think is probably only available in the US, but it's actually a granola that's really high in protein.
Oh, it sounds delicious. I bet it looks good as well.
Yes.
Beautiful colors. Now, I'm really interested in your own wellness journey because I think you did a bit of a pivot in your career to get to where you are just now. And you're really into fitness and nutrition now, especially for midlife women. So do you want to explain perhaps how you had this epiphany?
Yes. So, okay, I was an insurance agent for 20 something years, owned an insurance agency, and I had my daughter, I would say a little bit later in life. I was about 35 when I had her. And up until I had her, I wasn't really much of an exerciser. I wasn't an overly healthy eater. And after I had her, I discovered this is actually a little bit difficult to get off the baby weight. It was, I'd always been kind of naturally thin and not really struggled. So that's when I kind of first started just getting a little bit into exercise and kind of eating a little bit healthier. So I was about my mid-30s. And then about 10 years later, we made a move from Idaho to California so I could help my parents who were aging. And at that time, I sold my business and I thought, okay, I'm just going to retire. And about a year into that, if you know my personality, not doing anything for a year is totally not me. About a year into that, I was like, told my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. And so he's like, why don't you do something you're passionate about? And so I was, really into exercising, and I had gotten more and more into eating healthy and learning more about that. So I decided to get my personal trainer certification, get my nutrition certification, and started to do, started a small business doing that. I had a local studio where I trained women like one-on-one. And then about 47, 48, I started to go through perimenopause, and that just hit me like boom. And all of a sudden I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like everything I'm doing doesn't seem to be working quite the same anymore. And that is when I kind of started on my whole journey of like, what really works for women over 40, what type of changes do we need to make during perimenopause and menopause? And I went back and got my holistic health practitioner's certification. And that's when I started really working specifically with women over 40 for, weight loss and hormonal balance and things like that. So it was my own kind of struggles that I was having that really led me to like, gosh, it seems like there's not a lot of information out there. Like I struggled to figure it out. And I'm like, I bet you other women are having the same issue.
Do you mind sharing a few of your own perimenopause symptoms? Because I think it's really helpful for people to understand what you went through, because you look like a woman who was totally in control of your life and probably had a lot of things going for you. And then, as you said, it hit you really hard.
People probably couldn't have seen on the outside, but I was struggling with really bad insomnia. And I was struggling with really heavy cycles. So those cycles would wipe me out. And what happened over time, which I didn't realize, is that I was becoming severely anemic. And so because I was so anemic, my energy levels were so low. And then all of these things that I kind of had going on, that was really stressing my body out because I was still pushing myself and pushing myself. So then I started to have some cortisol issues. Then I started to have some low thyroid issues. And so I had quite a few things I had to work on to kind of get back to myself again.
It's really interesting. I've just actually been for an iron infusion this week for exactly the same reasons. Did you go down that route as well?
No, I didn't. I probably should have because it would have been quicker. But I did it just completely by taking high dosages of iron, which is hard for a lot of women because it's very, if you don't use the right type, it's very hard on your digestive system. It's, can cause a lot of bloating, constipation, things like that. So I did find a product that worked really well for me. I did that. I started adding more red meat into my diet, which I wasn't a big red meat eater, but I knew that, I had to do that. And it was about a 6 month to a year journey because my levels were so low to get my energy, levels back and start feeling, like I could really push in my workouts again.
Yeah, and it's so strange if you're somebody who's used to having a lot of energy to suddenly not have energy. And if you don't understand what's going on in your body, it's really hard to be kind to yourself. But I think once we start talking about perimenopause and realizing what some of the symptoms are, it's slightly easier to work out, okay, that's why this is happening, and I need to take steps to address that. Would you mind sharing what iron solution worked for you?
It's a product called Floridix. It's one that doesn't seem to cause constipation, and it doesn't cause, that just, bloated stomach and uncomfortable feeling. So
I think it is generally slightly easier on the gut, Floridix, isn't it? It's known for that. So it's a slightly easier one to take. And so the other thing I really want to talk to you about is the menopause belly, or or muffin top, midlife middle, right? Because there are scientific reasons behind why women get this sort of menopause belly. And I think if we can understand those reasons, then we can start addressing them as well.
So there's several different reasons I feel like women in perimenopause and menopausal experiences. One of the number one is the drop in our estrogen levels. So as your estrogen levels drop, your body is fighting to still make estrogen. And when your ovaries are shut down, then there's, basically mainly two pathways to making estrogen: your adrenals and body fat. And so I think for a lot of women, most women are under so much stress that their adrenals, are struggling to make any hormones. So then their body's like, okay, my other option is to start storing fat. So that's one of the main issues. And then kind of piggybacking on that is the stress. So women are under so much stress on top of the fact that going through perimenopause and menopause is stressful on the body. So that adds more stress. So that stress leads to more, belly fat.
What are your top tips for getting rid of belly fat? Is it nutrition? Is it exercise, or a combination of both?
It's a combination. First of all, number one, stress. Because if you don't manage stress, you could exercise all you want and you could eat as healthy as you want, and it's still not going to, completely solve the problem. So that's number one. Women need to learn to, manage. And I say manage stress because it's like you can't get rid of stress. I mean, we can't get rid of our job, our families, our kids, all of these things that, cause stress. But you can definitely minimize stress. And one of the things that I think is a big issue with women is that there's a lot of things that we do that our bodies perceive as stress. And you don't even really realize it. So, we think of stress as just, our job being stressful or raising kids being stressful. But there are so many other things that cause stress. One of the major things is like under eating and over exercising, which is a huge thing that women do at this age. And that's just leading to more stress in their body. So number one, stress. And then I would say number two, is nutrition. And then the right type of exercise. That's the other thing where I feel like a lot of women are kind of going wrong when they hit perimenopause and menopause is, they'll start gaining weight and then they think, oh, I know how I'll get rid of this weight. I'm going to train for a marathon. And so, they think that, okay, I'm going to be doing all this running. And so the weight's just going to drop off. And then they start to experience that, wait, why is that not happening? I'm running all the time. And I see that all of the time. And it's, again, what your body perceives as stress.
Yeah, and it's something that used to work in your 20s, so trying to run and lose some weight stops working in your 40s. So that's all about cortisol buildup as well, isn't it? And the stress hormone building up in your body if you over exercise with cardio. So what do you recommend women do then?
So I recommend women weight train, number one, because the other reason women start to gain weight as they age is that it's the loss of muscle, right? You lose estrogen, you naturally lose muscle, with aging. So as you lose that muscle, your metabolism slows down. And if you don't change the way you're eating, then you're like no longer, in a calorie deficit or at maintenance calories. You're now in a calorie surplus because you don't have so much muscle. So weight training is super important for women our age. And then I just truly, really love walking. It's just a great way to de-stress, but also to be active. And so I personally aim for about 10,000. I get 10,000 to 12,000 steps a day. I know that's not possible for everyone. Some people's schedules just don't allow for that. But, trying to get at least 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day, I think is super important.
Take 15 minutes walk 2 or 3 times a day. You can get the steps up really quickly. The other thing I think some women our age are scared about is the term weights and what that means. But actually, there's some really simple things. You don't have to go to the gym to increase your muscle mass, do you? There's simple things that you can do at home.
My clients, I have both home workouts and gym workouts. But the one thing I do think that is super important for women to understand is the concept of progressive overload. Because you can sometimes, like if you're working out from home, you can kind of fall into that rut of using those same 10-pound weights, for your workouts. And over a period of time, your body's going to adapt to that. And you're no longer going to, progress in building muscle if you don't progressively increase your weights or increase the intensity of your workout.
Yeah, and can you do that, for example, if you're doing at home and say you don't have dumbbells, don't have anything like that, or you're just really starting out, could you start off with just simple things like squats and lunges?
Yeah, you can start off simply with your body weight, right? But then after time, that's not going to be enough. So then if you didn't have, dumbbells or things like that, I think the best thing to invest in is a set of, resistance bands, because you can get resistance bands in all different levels, and you could continually progress, to more difficult bands. So that, there's always a way to do it, even if you don't have access to dumbbells or gyms.
Now, your passion for helping women with hormonal issues led you to create the Ageless Women Society, and you've impacted many lives of many women throughout your coaching. Can you explore and tell us a little bit more about this community and why you set it up?
When I got started, there was so much information out there. It's like I didn't even know where to start, and I didn't know which would work and which would, so I tried to narrow it all down for the ladies that I work with, and put it into steps so that each week we're kind of adding in some new steps, and so women don't feel like they're overwhelmed and give up. I give them all the tools that they need, the workouts, hundreds of recipes. I also explain to them why they're doing each step, because I feel like when you understand why you're doing something, you're more likely to do it, as opposed to me just telling you, do this. I really want women to understand their bodies, understand what's happening to their bodies, and understand why they need to make these, different changes. So we do it we do it in steps. I'm very much about like progress, not perfection. I tell my clients all the time, because as long as you're progressing a little bit each week, that's progress, and eventually you're going to get to where you want to be. So we have a group Facebook page, and it's so nice because women can get on there and reach out to other women and, and say, oh, I'm experiencing this, or I had a bad day and I did this. And a bunch of women will get on there and be like, don't give up. You've got, and I love that. I'm super big on women supporting women and women building women up, and being on social media and, and having a pretty good sized presence on there, and seeing how women can make comments on other women's posts or my post or that is one of the things that it's just one of my biggest pet peeves, because I'm like, how as women we should be building each other up. We need each other's support. We should be each other's biggest cheerleaders and not tearing each other down. And so that's why I really like having just a community of women that do that.
I think women tend to be so supportive. It's really interesting, isn't it? Why would you put a negative comment up on social media? What are you getting out of doing that?
I can get 100 comments on a post that, thanks for inspiring. You're so well. I love it. And the one post that says, you need to eat a burger, or you shouldn't be promoting health, that's the one you can't stop thinking about. And then it makes you doubt yourself. Well, should I be? And it's like, I've had to really work on just not, just letting that roll off of me and realizing that, okay, that's them. That's not me. And that's not going to take me away from my mission here. But it's sad that, that we have to deal with that.
Have you got a closed community on Facebook that it's very positive then and supportive of each other?
It's very positive. I would not allow a negative comment on there. It's just,
There's no space for that anymore. I've seen some of the results. You post some of the results of the women, the before and afters that have completed your program, and they're just incredible. And obviously, there's the physical results, but I think there'll probably, I imagine, be mental results as well, and people feeling better within themselves.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have so many like great testimonials and things of women that, yeah, it's like the physical part. Yes, they start to lose their menopause belly. And it's amazing how quickly they can do that, because most of those results that I'm posting is just right after the 8 weeks. I'm fortunate if people after the 8 weeks will continue to like, send me updates, and I have that information. But it's the people who tell me like, oh my gosh, I'm finally sleeping again, or I'm not getting headaches before my, cycles anymore, or, all of those different things that, I even have women who stop getting their cycles too early, like early 40s, and their body's just not really ready for that, nor are they ready, for the thought of going through menopause already, who start getting their cycles back because of just making these lifestyle changes. And it's amazing.
And what kind of lifestyle changes do you promote then?
So obviously, like I said, stress management, Um, sleep is extremely important. Obviously not too much alcohol, not too much, caffeine.
And do you do much work on mindset as well?
We definitely work on mindset. Facebook Live for my clients every 2 weeks. And those Facebook Lives are, a lot of it is on mindset. And, in changing your mindset to a person who believes that they are fit and believes that they can try to get people to change their mindset from, oh, I'm just, I'm overweight. I try to get them to change their mindset away from that and really see themselves as the person they want to be. A client check in every week, and, they will report to me online and kind of give me like, well, I screwed up and I had cake tonight, and I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. It's not about progress, not perfection. The rest, you got your workouts and you did that. One little thing is not going to make or break you. Let's just keep moving forward. You just get right back on track the next meal. So mindset's the hugest part of it, really. If you can get people to believe that they have it within them to do it, and that they deserve it, then that makes, all the difference in the world.
And a lot of women, I think, when they reach midlife, there's almost like, do I just have to accept that this is what my body is going to be like now? This is how I accept that my libido is waning, and that perhaps a lot of things I'm getting it slightly depressive in my mind. But actually, what you're saying is we can change all of this. And I believe that too. We can change all of it and we can get back on track.
Exactly. Like my tagline of my program is take back control of your body. And that's basically what you've got to do.
Yeah.
It's like at this point in time of life, we feel like you wake up one day and you feel like you've lost all control of what's going on in your body. And that's how I felt. Like the day I remember the day that I decided to start making some changes, I remember looking in the mirror, and I took a picture that day of myself in the mirror, and I was like, no, this is it. This is the day that I am taking back control. Like, I am not okay with the menopause belly that's starting to come on. I'm not okay with feeling the way I'm feeling. And so I think that women have to just have that attitude that, like, no, I'm not, this isn't going to happen.
And what about for libido? Do you do anything in particular, or is it all just part of the program?
No, I don't do anything in particular. I think that everything, the combination of everything that I'm doing, works really well, because I haven't struggled with libido. And so, I think a lot of times it's it's libido, but it's also low energy. When you have no energy, are you going to be interested in sex? You no, so working on things that improve your energy level definitely working on stress, right? If you're under stress, are you going to have a high libido? No. So all of those things, but I always tell my clients one of the best things you can do for your libido is lift weights, because that's a natural testosterone booster for women. So, but there's supplements, that we can take. And if I have a client that's, has issues with that, I'll recommend some supplements. Or, sometimes for some women, bioidentical, hormone replacement is the way to go. Like, you don't need to suffer. There's options out there for you. So I definitely promote that with my clients too. If their levels are low enough, it's in lifestyle, and supplements are not going to probably get them to where they're feeling better quickly, then that's definitely something women should consider.
And have you found that menopause and perimenopause in particular affected your marriage and your relationships?
I tell a story like about how I really, like, the day I realized that I was started menopause or perimenopause. I can't even remember, but my husband said something to me that just like set me off. And I went into this like just full on meltdown, screaming, yelling. And then I remember my daughter started laughing at and then I was mad at her. I was mad at him. I was just totally in this. And in my mind, as I was just yelling and this, I was thinking like, okay, wait a second. Like, this isn't you. Like, I'm a pretty like calm, like person. But yet, like, I couldn't stop myself. I wanted to, but I couldn't even stop, even though, I was just, and then I ran into our room, and I went into my closet, which is a big closet, but shut the door, and I just sat on the floor, and I just like, I cried uncontrollably. I was like, and then I sat there, all of a sudden I stopped crying, and then I'm like, what just happened? And then I just kind of, all of a sudden, it was like, that was like my aha moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm starting menopause because I am like, not like, this is not me. So I went back out. I apologized to my husband and my daughter, and I was like, I am so sorry. I don't even know what it got. And I go, I think I'm starting menopause. And then I told my husband, I go, if you just don't leave me during this period until I get this all figured out, I'll be so forever thankful. And he was like, of course, honey, and we've been married almost 25 years. And so we have so I was thankful that he was supportive. And I feel like him knowing what was going on, he could be like, oh, okay, all right, this is not like, this isn't going to be the rest of our life. So that made a big difference too.
We talk about that a lot, actually, about because it's quite a hard subject sometimes to talk about with your husband because you don't want to feel like you're over the hill. But actually, it's really important if your partner or husband or whoever recognizes that this is just a short period of time. You're not going to be like this forever. There are things you're going to do to manage it and get sort of your life back on track again. And so it's not even like it will be the 5 years of perimenopause because you're going to get yourself better and you're going to take actions and you're going to do lift weights and you're going to take supplements or HRT and get better. But it's really hard sometimes to talk about this.
No, it definitely is. And I like that what you said about you don't want to feel over the hill, because I think a lot of times, like going through menopause, it does kind of make women feel like you're old, or
Mm.
you're no longer sexy, or you're no longer relevant, or and that is very difficult for as women, I think, for us to start to feel that way. And obviously we never want our spouses to feel that way about us. So I think getting past that and really working on yourself, it really does help to bring back that self-confidence that we definitely should have, because as women at this age, we have so much going for us because we have so much knowledge and experience, and, so much that we can share with the world, that we should not feel irrelevant.
Well, and also, while I'm sort of fangirling over you, you exude beauty and sexiness as well. So you need to be the poster girl for menopause, I think.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try to, like, when you have a social media page and you're posting pictures and that is motivation to, not eat that piece of chocolate cake for sure. Not that I don't ever do that though, because I also believe that life has to be lived with balance.
And how can people find you on social media?
My Instagram handle is at so this is 50, but it's at so underscore this underscore is underscore 50.
And if you had one tip to give our listeners today on how to have a healthy and happy menopause, what would that be?
It would be, one, take action now. Like, don't wait. I think so many of us just, keep thinking like, okay, this will get better, or this is the way it has to be. And I think that the sooner you take action, the sooner you're going to be feeling better. So, and that action just needs to be small changes, on a weekly basis, and stay consistent.
Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. Yes.
Lovely, lovely to chat to you, Laura. The time has just absolutely flown by. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.